Hey guys, so in this tutorial we are going to do an animated bouncing ball. We're going to deal with the curve editors for speed and timing, and we are also going to deal with a little bit of squash and stretch. So the first little helpful guide that I have for you is up here in the motion tab and trajectories. So the nice thing about trajectories is when I move my object and create keyframes, we will see a nice little trajectory path that will help us along. So we're just going to go to auto key right now, and I will leave my keyframe as it is here, my frame bar, and I'm going to just set my first key. So I've got the first one up here. So auto key is on, and then I set my first key. So I'm going to drag along maybe to, let's say, 20 or 15, let's say 15. Just going to eyeball this for now, and we're just going to drop the ball all the way down. So now we also see right here our trajectory line. So this is what this is. And then I'm going to come back up to maybe 25, so a little bit shorter distance, and I'm going to come up almost all the way. I'll try to make this sort of a light bouncy ball. So not quite as high, but almost there. And then let's go to 35, and we'll drop it back down. And then let's go to maybe 41, and we'll bring it back up. And then maybe 40, let's say 47, bring it back down, say 50, 52, come back up, 56, bring it back down, and let's get one little last bounce in there. So if I were to turn off my auto key and press play, I have a very mechanical looking animated ball. Right now, so my keyframes actually only go to just past 60, so I'm actually just going to right click on play animation. And right now I have my frame count set to 120, so I'm just going to say from 0, let's say 65. And say OK. So now when this loops, I have less of a wait after. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come into the curve editor. So I'm going to right click on my ball here and say curve editor. So now what we want is for the ball to start slowly and then speed up, and then kind of hover around the top, and then repeat. So what I'm going to do is go to, on my Z position, which is this blue line here, so we've got Z for the up and down. I'm just going to click on this bottom keyframe here, and set tangents to spline. Okay, normally, if I do control click, there we go, or sorry, shift click, that's why. Shift click on the black tangent here, and I'm just going to try to make this come almost straight up and down. So let's do that for these. So we're trying to ease in and out. Okay, the other thing, so let's just play this. You can see what it does. So I still find this one to be a little bit slow. Okay, so now at the top, I'm going to try to give a little bit more of a rest time. So kind of a rounded U shape on the top. So this is where the ball kind of suspends in air for a few seconds before coming back down. So let's press play. So it's a little bit more natural. Okay. So now that we have the up and down set, there's something else that we have to do, and that is squash and stretch. So I'm going to come in to my scale. I'm going to click and hold, so left click up here on this little box here, hold it and drag down to the very bottom. So the first thing I want to do though is add a key. Of course I'm not on auto key, so I'm just going to say undo. And actually, you know what? I'm going to go to the 0 key because I find this ball to be a little bit big. So I'm actually just going to scale it in the regular scale first. There we go. It's a better size. So now we have our first key for scale. I'm actually just going to set one on key 1 so we have access to it. So this will be our original scale. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come down here, and as it falls toward the bottom here, I'm going to scale it up a little bit. So it's going to go scale here, and then at the bottom when it hits the ground, it's going to squash and stretch. So we have to remember, come back down here. So squash this way. So we have the original scale, drops down, and squishes. So now I also have to move this key down a little bit because as we see, he's no longer right in the floor. So we'll just adjust that. So I'm going to drop it down. Okay, so something's happening that I don't want. See, I've got a translation from this scale to the squish, but I want this squish to kind of happen last second. So as soon as it hits the ground, the impact of the ground makes the ball squish. So I'm just going to copy the scale key over to 14. So now it'll keep falling, and then at the last second it squishes. And then as we come back up again, of course, it's going to squish back up. And now at the top, I would love it if my ball is back to its original size, because we need to make it seem like the ball is maintaining its normal or regular scale. So I'm just going to make this kind of quick. Maybe I'll drag this a little bit farther. So it goes back to its original scale, and then when it starts falling, again, I'm going to copy my scale. And then again, we are going to squish, move this back down so it's hitting the ground. And then it's going to scale back up. on the rebound. And then, of course, back to its original scale. So to copy these keys, I'm just holding down Shift and drag. If you're wondering what I'm doing there. And then as it hits the top, it's its regular scale. And then again, I'll copy my scale. Sometimes it just doesn't want to go. There we go. And then again, go back to my front view. My little squish, bring it back down. Scale it back up. I'm going to copy my original value onto the top key. And bottom key again. Squash and stretch. And copy the original scale back over. In fact, I might just remove, if I go to delete key. Okay, I guess it already deleted because I did Control Z, so you can right click and delete keys. So now if you were to play this, just back it up a little bit. And I will actually just click out, turn off auto key. I'll just click out for you so you don't see the tangent. And there we've got a bouncing ball with squash and stretch.